Changing words to inequalities. Let C be the number of tins of corn I buy, and B be the number of tins of beans I buy. The number of tins of corn is at least 2. So that means that C is 2 or more, which we can write as greater than or equal to 2. So to put that on here, let's put the line C equals 2 onto the graph, and then I always use an arrow to indicate the direction of the inequality, or you may shade the region of the inequality or even shade out the bit that isn't the inequality. But to start with, an arrow's a good thing to do. I buy more tins of beans than corn. Let's suppose we bought an equal amount. That would be B equals C. So that's going to be the boundary line. And the line B equals C, well, we know what Y equals X looks like. On this graph with C and B, it's the same thing. So this is B equals C. Now B needs to be more than C, and that happens if we're above the line. The number of tins of corn is 2 more than the number of tins of beans. So the number of tins of beans is B. Add 2 to that and we get the number of tins of corn. And notice an equals this time because it doesn't say more than or less than. It says that it is. So C equals B plus 2. So if B is 0, then C is equal to 2. If B is 1, then C is equal to 3. So that's going to be this line over here. The number of tins of corn is twice as many as beans. So beans is B. Twice that is 2B, and that's the number of tins of corn. So corn is 2B. So when B is 0, C is 0. When B is 1, C is 2. And that's really all we need, is just 2 points. So let's just do a straight line through those. The number of tins of beans is at least twice as many as corn. So corn is C, twice corn is that, and B has to be at least that, so greater than or equal to. And the boundary line would be B equals 2C. So if C is 0, B is 0. If C is 1, B is 2. So here's our boundary line up this way. Now, where are the beans greater than twice the corn? Well, just try a point. So here, B is 3 and C is 0, and 3 is more than twice 0, so this is the correct region up here. The ratio of beans to corn is at least 3 to 1. So let's worry about it being exactly 3 to 1 to start with. That means that we could have things like 12 lots of beans and 4 lots of corn. So beans are 3 times the number of tins of corn. It says at least, so we need to change this into a greater than or equal to. But B equals 3C is the boundary. If C is 0, B is 0, then we'd have 1, 3. And by point testing or otherwise, we can figure that we need to be this side of the line. The ratio of beans to corn is at most 5 to 3. So 5 to 3 means we could have things like 10 cans of beans and 6 cans of corn. That would give us a ratio of 5 to 3. So what we could have here is the number of tins of beans is going to be 5 divided by 3 times the number of tins of corn. So see if that works. If corn is 3, then beans would be 5. And if corn is 6, 6 divided by 3 is 2, times 5 is 10. So that works with the example we first worked with. So B is 5 over 3C. If we take C as 3, B would be 5, which isn't on our grid. So let's take C equals 1.5, or which is 3 over 2 of course, so 5 over 3 times 3 over 2 gives us 5 over 2, which is 2.5, so 1.5, 2.5, and of course 0 zeros on this line, so it's going to go up here like this, but this time it said at most. So in other words, we want B to be less than or equal to 5 over 3C, and that means we need to be this side. Down here, B is less than 5 over 3C. There are at least 3 times as many tins of beans as corn. It's just a different way of expressing one we had earlier. So if we take corn, 3 times the amount of corn, so B needs to be equal to that, or it says at least, so greater than or equal to 3C. So if we do the line, that's going to go like that, and at least 3 many times the beans, so we could have more beans than 3 times C, so that's up in that direction. For every tin of beans, there is at least 3 tins of corn. So if we have beans, then the corn is going to be 3 times the beans at least. So that's more than or equal to 3B. Okay, so B equals 0, C equals 0, so that's going to be down here. If B is equal to 1, then C is equal to 3, so that's over here. And here's our line. And we want C to be more than 3B. We'll just try a point down here, like 3, 0. So that's 3 for C and 0 for B. And then the number of tins of corn is definitely more than 3 times 0. So this is the correct region for us. And we're now in a position to do all of these exercises.